Hello and welcome to English 1302 Summer Edition. I'm your instructor, Catherine Smith, and let's get started. So you've obviously found the Start Here video. Let me introduce myself. Again, my name is Catherine Smith, and I have been a professor for 10 years, and currently I am an adjunct professor here at Lee College. I also teach dual credit English at Sterling High School, and I am also an adjunct professor at San Jacinto College in Pasadena. My qualifications include having an associate's degree in English from San Jacinto College, a dual bachelor's degree in English and in history from the University of Houston at Clear Lake, and a master's of literature also from the University of Houston at Clear Lake. I did go to Lee College. I attended Lee College in my junior year of college, and I took most of my British literature English, my second years of English there, and I had a really enjoyable time. And it was shortly after that that I did drop out of school for some time. But I went back and I did get all the way up to my master's degree. So here I am today. So it's kind of nice coming full circle in terms of starting out as a student, going to Lee College, going to San Jac, going to U of H, and then coming back to teach at least two of those schools. So I teach English 1301 and 1302, obviously. I also teach humanities, which is an interesting class. So we're going to go through the getting started info, which is the very first thing you should do. So this is going to be a 10-week course, as you're well aware, summer semester. Usually it's a 16-week course, but because summer is shortened, it's a 10-week course. So we will be doing the same amount of work that we would have been doing in a 16-week course. It's just a little bit shortened due to the amount of time. So it's really important that you keep up with your assignments, because just because it's a shorter course time doesn't mean that it's any less than what the normal course would be. So I'm not going to read this word for word because you can read it, and I certainly believe that you should go through and read it for yourself. Just know you should read everything in the course. Don't skip over stuff. There'll be places where you can't skip over stuff. You're going to have to read it. Because just like I read everything that you write, everything that I write, I've spent time on, and I believe it's important information for you to know. And you will be responsible for the information, whether you read it or not. So make sure that you take the time to really read through and understand what you're reading. And of course, ask me any questions that you might have about it, because it's important that you understand what's going on. All right, so the structure of the course is a 10-week course. We have three major research reports because the emphasis in 1302 is on research. In 1301, we were looking at making sure that you are able to write college level essays and that you write a variety of them. In 1302, we are focusing on integrating information that you have researched to critically think about questions and then synthesize all of that into a coherent researched report. And we'll be doing three of those. We are basing this on three different authors. So there's going to be three different modules. You'll be reading short stories from each author and then synthesizing those stories with information about real life, real world events, and relating them back and forth. And that's where the critical thinking comes in, and also some of the research. So let's see. Everything will be done and posted on Blackboard, since that is what we're doing as an online class. So be sure to open your Blackboard often, at least every other day, sometimes once a day, just depending on what your learning style is. Let's see. So we have three reports. There will be revisions for research reports 1 and 2. The third research report we don't do revisions on because it is like a final for your course. As that is such, we do not have a specific final exam. The essay counts as your final exam. So when you look at the grading formula here, your research reports are worth 70% of your grade. So if you don't do your research reports, you're not going to pass the class. That's just the bottom line. Reports 1 and 2 are worth 20% each. Report 3 is worth 30. And then the final 30% of your grade comes from a combined score of your daily assignments, which is worth 25% of your grade, and a participation/attendance grade, which I only really do this now in the online classes because it's crucial that you open up things like lectures and videos and different assignments. And what I found was I had a lot of students who were trying to get through the course without opening up a lot of the information that was necessary to do the assignments, and they were missing these things. And if I've taken the time to make a lecture, you should at least have the common decency to take the time to try to listen through it. Because there's a lot of important information is put in the lecture that is not necessarily written down in the course. Also the same with announcements. I will put out announcements every week, possibly more than once a week, and those will include information about assignments, what assignments are due, any changes to the course that might be necessary because of whatever reason, and trust me, there's a gazillion reasons it could change. I don't see any, but in particular, but it could happen. So be sure that you're monitoring the announcements and that you're monitoring that. And so if I go in and find that you have not opened the announcements and looked at them, if you haven't opened any of the lectures and listened to them, if you are just trying to get through with the assignments and get through the class, you're going to lose points on that participation grade because I can see when you open announcements, when you open lectures, when you open assignments, anything that you open in this course, just know that I can see when you opened it and how much time you spent on it. So this is not trying to be a gotcha kind of a thing because I don't like that. However, after having multiple online classes and students coming back at me with, well, I didn't know this or I didn't know that, it's because, yeah, they didn't go and open the lecture. They didn't go and open the announcement. They didn't read it. So just know I can tell that. So from here on out, it's a really easy grade. All you have to do is open the announcements, open the lectures, listen to the stuff. I put it there for a reason. If I didn't think it was important, I wouldn't put it in the course. And I will put on something if I think it's super important or not, or you could get through it without it, trust. So that's what that participation attendance grade is for. How we take attendance in this course is basically based on assignments for the week. There will always be an assignment that counts for attendance for the week. Uh, so, for example, usually it's a discussion board. You'll be asked to participate in a discussion board. And if you do, then it will account for attendance for the week. And basically, if you make a post by a certain day, then you'll be counted as present for the week. And that's how that works. Most of the assignments are not really difficult, which doesn't mean that they're super easy. Most of them are designed to reinforce and support the overall goal of a particular essay for that module. There's readings that you'll have to do. There's discussion questions that I want you to consider. There will be discussion boards. Most of what we do in this class is a lot of discussion boards, simply because it's online, and that's the easiest way for you to interact with your fellow students and with me. And I will make every effort to make comments on those discussion boards, but I also will make comments on your individual assignments if it's not a discussion board. So be sure to check those comments. And if you ever have a question about an assignment or comments that were made or what you could have done better or differently with anything, please email me. Email is the best way to get a hold of me. Before I get too far ahead though, let's go over extra credit. So there is no extra credit for this course. Basically, if you do the assignments, then you should be fine. If you don't do the assignments, you will not pass. There is no extra credit if you have done no assignments. To me, extra credit is something that you are offered when you have turned in all of the assignments and you're still not passing, then that means you have a fundamental misunderstanding of something. So the extra credit would be some kind of assignment that would help deepen your understanding and help bring you up to speed. And that will only be offered to you if you have turned in all of your assignments up to date and you're still failing. And I usually don't find that to be the case. I usually find the case to be students just don't turn in their work, so they fail. And it's not because they didn't understand, it's because they didn't feel like doing it. So try to keep up with your work as best as possible. If you have something that happens in your life, and we all do, life happens. Please let me know as soon as you can. It's not my business. I'm not looking for the nitty gritty. I just, if you have something come up that you're unable to do the assignments, or you know something's happening or something happens, just life happens. It could be a death in the family, it could be sickness, it could be an accident. As soon as you are able to let me know, preferably before the due date, if possible, please let me know and we can make arrangements for you to turn in something early or turn it in late or give you an extension if necessary. Because I'm not unfeeling and my life happens too. Uh, you know, sickness happens. But if you wait until a day after the assignment was due or the day of the assignment's due to let me know that you've been sick for a week and you haven't been able to do it, maybe a couple days before that, start with, hey, I've been sick for a week and I'm trying to work on this, but I'm having a hard time. Uh, just kind of give me a heads up. All right. That's all I'm asking. But remember, there is no extra credit unless you are absolutely failing. That's the only time extra credit would be really necessary. And so far, I'm here to tell you guys in 10 years that I have been teaching, I have only had maybe one student that would have qualified for extra credit. All right, the email policy, make sure that you read the announcement and the course materials. That's the best resource for general questions about the assignments and duties. All right, next up we have the email policy. So please be sure to check your official Lee College email often. Also the announcements. Again, this is part of the participation grade that will be going at the end of the class. Email is the best way and really the only way I have to communicate directly with you, and all of our communication needs to be through the official email channels. This is to protect you and to protect me so that the college will have a record of every interaction that we have via email. So again, uh, tech support can help you set up your email if you're not able to get to it. Should be able to get to it through Microsoft. I believe it's 365 or 360 on we're the same place that you sign into Blackboard. If you haven't already set up your email, be sure you do that and be sure you check your email often. Second, please note, I do not accept assignments via email unless you've made prior arrangements with me to do so. Um, if you think you're going to be late turning in an assignment or if you're having problems turning in an assignment in Blackboard, please contact me via email and let me know. But please don't send me assignments until I ask you to do so, because I cannot. Blackboard is where we grade the assignments and where we keep track of them. And trying to do that with email for the number of students that I have is difficult, and it's very likely that an assignment will get missed unless I've specifically asked you for it. So please don't automatically send me assignments. I will not grade assignments that are sent to me automatically unless I ask you for them. So please do that. Also, if you are going to be late, if you know that you're going to have a problem turning in an assignment for whatever reason, please let me know as soon as possible, preferably before the due date, if you can. Now, that doesn't mean like if there's an emergency, obviously I am not your first thought. But once everything's calmed down and you have a clearer idea of what's going on, please let me know so that I don't automatically count things against you, because I don't want to be that person. But if you are able to let me know ahead of time that you're going to have an issue, that maybe you're going to be out of town and away from a computer, etc., because it is summer, let me know and we can work something out, either turning something in late or getting an extension for something. I would much prefer to do that than have you just get the zero, because once a zero gets in there into the book, it's on that book until I take it out. And the only way I'm taking it out is if I have a turned in submitted assignment. So just know, be sure to send me stuff through email. Please communicate and don't be afraid to. That's, like I said, the best way to get a hold of me. I get my email to my phone. I have it with me at all times. I try to respond as soon as I can. Responses for grading. I have every intention of grading daily work and returning your feedback as soon as possible. I try to get papers back within a week, week and a half, a little bit sooner for the summer courses. So just know I am grading it. Sending me emails constantly asking me about where your grade for your assignment is not helpful. So please don't do that. Um, it's really not helpful, and I am human, and I just it's not a good scene. It doesn't look good for you. But I do try to get everything back as soon as possible. And be sure to check it, check the feedback, check comments on it. And if you ever have a question about it, please email me and let me know. I expect everyone to participate in the class discussions. A good portion of our assignments are actually discussion boards, and those have their own rules for how they work, but it's imperative, since we're not meeting in person, that we talk to each other via email. Just please be courteous, and please keep in mind that the person on the other end of those comments is a person who has feelings too, and we don't always have to agree with each other. It's the beautiful thing about being in college, is we have the ability to disagree and still be civil. Being able to do that shows a level of maturity and a willingness to learn. So please have that growth mindset with you when you are talking to fellow students and peers in the course. And keep in mind that you're not always going to agree, but it's okay. It's okay to not agree. What's not okay is not listening to what the other person has to say. When you have closed your mind off from even hearing what they have to say, whether you agree with it or not, uh, then that's a bad look for you and not what we're here to do. So please be courteous. Um, all right, use of AI. This is kind of a big one. There's a big section about this in the syllabus. Please be sure to read through that. It's important. This is a writing class, and as such, you're going to be expected to turn in your own original work, and you are not allowed to use uh, online automated artificial intelligence, things like ChatGPT, Grammarly, Quillbot, EditPad, Scribbler, WriteSonic, MyAI, Essayist, Grok, Gemini, literally any of the AIs out there. You're not allowed to use that to write, correct, or assist you with your written work. This is particularly important to Grammarly, since I know that Lee College pays for a subscription for every student for Grammarly. That's fine. For social studies, math, science, any other course where your professor says it's okay to use Grammarly, I'm telling you right now, in this course, it is not okay to use Grammarly. Please don't do it. If you have it as an extension in uh, your bar, like your Chrome or whatever you might use, please be sure to disable it or take it off, because if you write with Grammarly and it offers up changes or suggestions, then your paper will be marked as having been AI generated, or portions of it AI assisted. And then your paper will be pulled, your work will be pulled aside and further scrutinized. And if it's true that you've used AI to answer or fix or write any portion of your paper, then there's a good chance you'll be receiving a zero. This is not a personal challenge. Do not go out and think, oh, how can I fool the teacher? Please don't do that. Uh, I don't have time for that. And I will more than likely just assign a zero. But I will research this, and it takes me longer to grade. It ticks me off because I want your work, your original thoughts. And just because you have the original thought, you have to have the rest of the original work. Not just having the original thought is not enough here, because this is a course about how to write research papers properly. And if you are using AI to get through the course, if you just want your grade, please drop the course, because it's not going to be what you think it is. Um, I need you to be better than that. That's what we're here for. So if you have any questions about AI or whether or not it's appropriate for what you want to do, please ask me. I love AI. I love technology. I love using it. I love the fact that my entire course is online and we never even have to touch a piece of paper if we don't want to. However, as an English teacher, it is very important that you are able to get these concepts down, that you are able to produce the written work on your own. Because if you're not able to do that in this course, I cannot guarantee that you're going to be able to do that in later courses. And if you're having AI write everything for you, what's the point of being here? To get your piece of paper so you can get your job? It sounds good in theory, but deep down, it's not okay. So please don't use AI for this course. Please don't take it as a personal challenge. Please let me know if you have any questions about whether something is AI or not. I will be going through and will be doing some things about how to use AI to help us to research and things of that nature, things that are really a good use for AI. But writing your paper, not so much. All right. Formatting. Formatting is expected and required, and we will be using two different types of formatting in this course. We'll be using MLA, which you should be familiar with mostly. You probably used that throughout high school, and APA, which you may or may not be familiar with, and you may hate it like the devil. It's okay. We're going to do one paper in MLA, one paper in APA, and then the third paper will be your choice, whichever one you like better. But formatting is very important. It is as important as content. And I think that uh, a lot of people will gripe about, oh, but my content, you didn't look at my content, you just graded me on my format. And that's not true. If you gave me the most perfectly written paper where all the content was awesome and everything was perfectly researched, but the formatting was total garbage, you're going to get a worse grade. Formatting's important because it shows that you can follow instructions and it shows that you can be consistent. It allows you to focus your efforts on your content, especially if you set your paper up in the proper format first, or even if you wait till last and just format it all at the end. That's fine too. Uh, but you still have to remember to format it. It shows that you respect your instructor and the subject, and that is important because there have been instances that I have watched as a student and as a teacher. I have watched professors who received papers, and because they were not in the right format, they simply gave it a 0 and moved on with their life. Or worse, they gave it a 0, threw it away, and moved on with their life. So I saw that as a student firsthand. I've seen it and talked to other instructors as a professor of 10 years now that it happens. Am I allowed to do that? No, not really, because I'm supposed to be grading you on how you do things. Uh, but I will tell you this, you will lose 20 points right off the top if it is not properly formatted. Um, so that means that an 80 is the best you can get on that paper, assuming everything else is perfect. All right, so please be sure to take the time to format your paper. The way that you can highlight it and format it, it shouldn't even take you less than 5 minutes to do that. Remember, formatting is one of the only things that you have complete control over in your paper. Choosing not to format is just that, a choice that you made. So you're choosing to fail. You might give me a paper that is just badly written and the content is awful, but the format's perfect. As a human being, I can only say that will make my heart happy that your formatting is great because it's the very first thing I see when I look at your papers is the formatting. And if it's badly formatted, I really try hard to not prejudge things. But the fact of the matter is, if it's badly formatted, that was part of the assignment. and I can't help it. So, formatting, something you can control, something that's easy, something I have lots of information on. If you have any questions about it, email me. Peer review. This is another thing that's very important. So, our papers, you will have the ability to revise your paper once you've turned in your final draft and I've given it a grade. If you make an A on your paper, congratulations, enjoy your A. You cannot do revisions on an A paper because A is literally the highest grade you can get. However, if you've made less than an A, then I will offer you revisions. And if you do those revisions, you don't have to do the revisions because revisions are part of the writing process. But if you choose not to, if you're satisfied with your grade, whatever grade it is, you don't have to do the revisions. If you do the revisions, you are guaranteed to probably make your grade better. If you do, you would have to really screw up the revisions to have it not be changed. If you turn in revisions and there weren't any revisions really, you might get a point or two, but you're not going to get the full point spectrum that I would usually give. But if you do revisions and you make an effort to correct mistakes, then I will give you a better grade. You can do that for the first and second paper only. The third paper is like a final. And because we're turning it in at the end of the course, revisions are, because it's the final, we're not doing revisions. And also because it's the end of the course, there's no way to get those back in time. So you will be able to do revisions. However, peer review comes in, and those are the corrections that you make before you turn in your final draft. So everyone will be expected to participate in peer review because it is part of the writing process and it is not optional in this course. There will be 3 peer reviews, one for each of the major essays that we write. You'll be expected to turn in a rough draft of your essay to be evaluated by a fellow student. And then you will be expected to complete an evaluation of another student's paper. So you'll be asked to answer 9 questions about a fellow student's rough draft. Now, your rough draft does not have to be the complete paper. Ideally, sure, it would be great if it was or as complete as possible, but I understand that it's not always possible. So if you can turn in something like your introduction, which includes your thesis statement, maybe a rough outline of how you want to go about your paper, something that somebody can read, answer those 9 questions on so they can get credit and you can get a little bit of help because anything that you are able to correct before it gets to me is just going to give you a better grade. So peer reviews are important. They are required. Failure to complete a peer review, in other words, failure to turn in a rough draft and complete a peer review for somebody else will give you a 0 for the assignment and 20 points will be deducted from your final draft. I had to kind of make it punitive because I had so many people who weren't participating in this and just thinking it wasn't that big a deal, but it really is important and it is a big deal. So be sure that you participate in the peer review. The peer review will always be due a week before the final draft of your paper is due. Additional advice for the course. I can't preview your work for a grade because before you turn it in for a grade because it's not fair because I can't preview everybody's work. There will be some assignments that I will have you do like thesis statement and that sort of thing where I can kind of give you some guidance on how it's going. I'm happy to answer individual questions about assignments or even look over 1 or 2 things, not the entire assignment. But if I'm looking at it in depth and I'm grading it. So please keep that in mind. If you can email me your questions, I'm happy to take a look at or answer them, but I cannot take a look at your assignment as a whole and tell you whether or not you're doing okay on it. Be mindful of due dates, especially the daily work and the research reports. I'm going to show you the calendar where everything is updated here in just a second. Make sure you read the syllabus and the announcements. The very first assignment is going to be on those. It's a very easy 100. Please be sure to read all the announcements and the assignment instructions and follow them. I've tried to be very, very clear on what those are and how everything works. And if you have a question about anything, please email me. Again, email is the best way to get a hold of me. And now I want you to go to the syllabus, read through it, and then from your official Lee College email, and only your official Lee College email, send me an email telling me that you understood and accept the syllabus. And that's your first easy 100. And my email is kasmith@lee.edu. Then second, you're going to go to introduce yourself, the discussion board assignment, which you'll need to do that before you can do the rest of the assignments. So make sure that you do that. You don't have to give any information that you're uncomfortable giving, but it's just a little way of people getting to know you, because remember, we will be talking to each other basically through discussion boards for the rest of the summer, and it's always good to feel like you can relate to some of the people that you're going to be working with. All right, let's take a look at how the rest of the course is set up. Obviously, you found the Start Here and the Getting Started information and the Start Here lecture. Here is the important class links hub. Now, this is where our syllabus lives, and you can get to it through Simple Syllabus or this link. Either one, Simple Syllabus, if you open it up, may say that it's going to open up a third party. Say yes, launch it, and it will open up Simple Syllabus. I believe the other link takes us directly there, and this is our whole syllabus where you can read through it. Make sure you do that for the first assignment. Announcements are here, but we're going through this first. Here I want to say this is our textbook. Okay, my suggestion is that you don't worry about the textbook until the second week of the course, because that is when we're going to have all of the assignments that have to do with the textbook. We'll have 6 chapters that we're going to be reading in the second week. I know it's a lot in one week, but it's just how the course is laid out because we've condensed it to 10 weeks. So once you open up the textbook, it's going to give you a little bit different. It's going to, ask you to upload it. It's also going to ask you for your email address. It's not asking me for my email address because I've already opened this textbook a lot. But it will ask you for your email address, and then it will probably ask you if you want to start a trial of the textbook, and you say yes. And that will give you, I believe, a 14-day trial of the textbook where you can access the book for 14 days for free. Now, I'm not suggesting you don't buy the textbook. That's not what I'm saying. If you would like to own the textbook, you are, of course, perfectly welcome to buy the e-version of this textbook. I'm not exactly sure how much it is. I'm sure that when you get to the free trial part, it'll tell you how to buy it, should you need to. You can also buy a physical copy of this book, probably from Amazon. Just put in Everything's an Argument with Readings, 9th edition. The ISBN number is on the syllabus, should you need it. And you can buy a hard copy version of this book. It's a good book. There's a lot of good references. If you do the trial version and you only use it to do the assignments for the second week, which you could do, you won't have the book to reference back in the future for the future assignments because it'll only be there for 2 weeks and then it will be gone unless you purchase it. So I'm just letting you guys know that's how our book is. So I would not open this book until the second week, and that's when those assignments will open up and you can complete them. If you want to complete them earlier, once you've gotten everything done for the first week, shoot me an email and we'll talk. But this is what the book should look like. You can do it in ebook, you can do it in physical copy, but make sure that if you're going to do the ebook and you don't want to buy it, don't open it till next week because your free trial will start as soon as you sign in. All right, that being said, the next step we have writing resources, where we have the Lee College Learning Hub, which is a great resource for you, whether you're using it for tutoring or you go to the Writing Center. You can book a tutoring session with any of the tutors for any subject, and this gives you all that information here. But also in here, I have all of the general writing help, much of which we'll be going over in the course. But if you have any questions about how to write something or anything else, it's here. Also, the library information is here. Everything lives in writing resources. Then, of course, we have our modules, and these are the 3 different modules. I'm not sure if you can see them once they're open, until they're open. And then finally, at the very end, we have what I call the success resources. And this is just more campus resources for you. There's the campus map, uh, another library guide of the student resources, the actual catalog, the academic calendar, drop dates, and some study skills article, and some other technology resources, etc. So that is there at the end. But all the resources available to you at the campus are here in Success Resources. Now, in our Blackboard, I was mentioning the calendar. This is where it is. It is a calendar that automatically populates whenever there are due dates put into the Blackboard. So if you click on due dates, all of the due dates will show up for all of the assignments that we have for the entire course, basically. So they're all here. They're also on a schedule on the syllabus, but this is a dynamic calendar, meaning if I decide to extend an assignment for some reason, the changes that I make on the assignment will be made here automatically, whereas the syllabus will not automatically update, but this will. So if you ever have a question, you can always look at the calendar. I believe you can also look at your grade book and see when things are due as well. Announcements are here, and there's no announcements currently, but be sure to check announcements. I do have a way of seeing who reads and doesn't read the announcements, and I got really tired of people telling me they didn't know something. I will give important information in the announcements, as well as you'll be receiving an email when there's an announcement, usually. Discussion board is here. There's discussion board instructions, and then each of the assignments is listed underneath. There's the grade book, which I believe will show you your grades, and then messages. Please do not use Blackboard messages, as it is unreliable, and I'm likely to not take a look at that. I won't see it come up for a couple days. It doesn't send me an announcement that there was an email sent or a message sent there. So please don't use it. Please use your official Lee College email. But there you go. That's the basic start here. So be sure to read through the announcements, because guarantee you there's an announcement there. And send me an email about the syllabus, and then go to the discussions or even module 1 and do the introduce yourself. And then from there, you'll be able to, once you've done the introduce yourself, you can do the rest of the assignments. As always, if you have any questions, be sure to email me, and I hope we have a great summer.